Commas. Our aim today is to know how to use commas. We have 7 objectives. To know how to use commas with lists, to know how to use commas with additional clauses, to know how to use a pair of commas to mark off non-restrictive clauses, to know how to use a pair of commas to mark words in apposition, to know how to use commas that are not part of the main structure of a sentence, to know how to use commas in direct speeches, and to know about the common mistakes. Purpose of commas. Commas are used the most often compared to other punctuation marks and at times used incorrectly. One of the most common mistakes is to use a comma when a full stop is required. Commas are used within a sentence, not to mark the end of a sentence. Commas are meant to help you read the text and sometimes to clarify the meaning of a sentence. Have you ever heard of this example? Let's eat grandma. Let's eat grandma. Without a comma, you're suggesting grandma is your next meal, but with a comma, you're inviting grandma for a meal. This is because the comma here gets you pause and indicates that you are adding some non-essential information to the sentence. Non-essential because I could just say, let's eat. Comma does not have to be included in my sentence. We're going to go through all this in a moment. Lists. One of the most common use of commas is with lists, to separate each item of a list. Consider the following sentence. I need carrots, leeks, onions, potatoes, and beef for my stew. This sentence is harder to read without commas. Adding commas makes it easier to read it. I need carrots, leeks, onions, potatoes, and beef for my stew. Each comma clearly separates each item of my list. Have you noticed that I did not put a comma before and? This is because it is not needed. In some situations, though, putting a comma before and helps with reading, especially when the items of the list are long. Pedro's hobbies are watching action movies, doing long walks with friends, and traveling abroad. This sentence is also correct without a comma before and. It all depends if you think the comma before and would help the reader or not. Which sentence do you prefer? Pedro's hobbies are watching action movies, doing long walks with friends, and traveling abroad? Or Pedro's hobbies are watching action movies, doing long walks with friends, comma, and traveling abroad? Additional clauses. Sentences can be short or long. Within a sentence, there could be shorter sentences. These shorter sentences are called clauses. The delivery will be at my house for 9 a.m. It's now 10 a.m. and I am still waiting. Here we have 3 clauses. The delivery will be at my house for 9 a.m. It's now 10 a.m. I am still waiting. These clauses are linked with a conjunction, but, and. The commas here separate each clause. Usually, you put a comma before coordinating conjunctions. There are 7 of them. And, but, or, for, nor, so, yet. It is not always the case, though, especially when the subject is the same. The subject is whoever or whatever does the action. My neighbor bought a gift, but forgot where he put it. My neighbor is the subject of these 2 clauses. My neighbor bought a gift. My neighbor forgot where he put it. With and, but, or, yet, nor, you don't have to repeat the subject. In this case, you don't need to use the comma. With subordinating conjunctions, however, you have to repeat the subject. Subordinating conjunctions are only words that link clauses whose meaning depend on the main clause. To simplify, there are only 7 coordinating conjunctions. Any other conjunctions are subordinating. The clause a subordinating conjunction introduces is called a subordinating clause. I'll buy shampoo when I finish this one. I'll go on holiday if I get a promotion. The conjunctions are when and if, and I introduce I finish this one and I get a promotion. So when I finish this one and if I get a promotion are subordinating clauses. I did not use a comma with these sentences. It is, however, possible to use one before when and if. Either use is correct. We tend to use a comma, though, when the subordinating clauses start the sentences. When I finish this shampoo, I'll buy a new one. If I get a promotion, I'll go on holiday. The commas are recommended, but you don't have to use them. If the sentence is easy to read without a comma, then you don't have to use one. If your subordinating clause is long, then it is preferable to use a comma. Here is an example when a comma really makes it easier for the reader to understand the sentence. How did you read this sentence? Would it be easier to read it with a comma? From the hill beyond, the village looks smaller. From the hill beyond is not a subordinating clause. It is not even a clause. This example, however, does show that this rule of subordinating clauses also works with parts of sentences that you move from the end to the beginning. The train will depart at 9. At 9, the train will depart. The plant will die without water. Without water, the plant will die. Again, we can write these sentences without a comma. At 9, the train will depart. Without water, the plant will die. Some people would prefer to add a comma because they think it makes the sentence easier to read. What do you think? Okay. When the phrase is long, though, a comma is preferable. Without constant and loving care that only Daphne can give, the plant will die. Non-restrictive clauses. A non-restrictive clause is a subordinating clause that has been inserted into a sentence for additional information, but that clause is not essential to the meaning of the sentence. The apple tree died. This sentence makes perfect sense on its own. I could add more information to it if I wanted to. The apple tree, which I bought last year, died. The additional information, which I bought last year, is not essential to the meaning of the sentence, so a pair of commas to mark off this clause must be used. In other words, if you can delete the additional information without losing the meaning of the sentence, then this additional information is a non-restrictive clause and needs to be between commas. When is additional information essential to the meaning of a sentence? Consider the following example. The apple tree died, but the one is still alive. This sentence does not make sense. I need additional information for it to be meaningful. The apple tree which I bought last year died, but the one that is 10 years old is still alive. There are two subordinating clauses in this sentence. Which I bought last year, that is 10 years old. I need these two in my sentence for this sentence to make sense. These clauses are then essential to the meaning of my sentence, so no commas are to be used to mark them off. Do note that I need the comma before but, which I have explained earlier. Words in apposition. There are some phrases that are inserted in the middle of a sentence to give more information on something or someone. They are like the non-restrictive clauses without who, which, that, and so on. Carlo, the man behind the wheel, thought for a moment, just a few seconds, if he should go back home. I could say the following. Carlo, who was the man behind the wheel, thought for a moment, which was just a few seconds, if he should go back home. These type of phrases are words in apposition. These words should be between commas, as they are additional information, not essential to the meaning of the sentence. I could have written, Carlo thought for a moment if he should go back home. This sentence makes perfect sense without the additional information. It is the same with separating the name of a town or city from a country. Felipe lives in Madrid, Spain. Words that are not part of the main structure of the sentence. There are other types of words that are inserted in the middle of a sentence that are not essential to the meaning of a text, but are useful to the flow of the text. Mali, I think, is in London. In conclusion, we should change our policy. It is, of course, my own opinion. Yes, you are correct. It is good, isn't it? I think, in conclusion, of course, yes, isn't it, are all additional information that is not essential to the meaning of a text but does help with the flow of it. A comma should be used with them. Linking adverbs or linking phrases are words or phrases that link a sentence to the previous one. They should have a comma. My mother is sick. She is, however, recovering. I have recently achieved a maths qualification. I am, therefore, exempt from taking a maths assessment. On one hand, I could get a promotion. On the other hand, it means moving to a new town. It is, on the whole, a great piece of work. You should also use commas when inserting names in a sentence. Thank you, Stanislas, for your help. Stanislas, could you help me? Direct speeches. Commas are used in direct speeches. The garden was flooded, she said, and is now boggy. I love you, he muttered. The police shouted, Stop! Common mistakes. As previously mentioned, one of the most common mistakes is using a comma instead of a full stop. Come soon, I miss you. Come soon and I miss you are two complete sentences, so a comma is inappropriate. Another common mistake is forgetting the other comma with restrictive clauses or words in apposition. The house, derelict and empty, will be destroyed. The additional information, derelict and empty, should be marked off by two commas. The house, derelict and empty, will be destroyed.